Goldust. Now, I want to bring this up very briefly, is that everyone apart from one person referred to him as Goldust, not Dustin Runnels or Rhodes or anything, which I just find fascinating that's... I mean, everyone remembers. Because...
He was the most interesting as Goldust.
Mm-hmm.
Dustin Rhodes was not interesting. He's not. Just being a son of Dusty. You know, Dusty and Dustin, they didn't always see eye to eye on things, especially when I think when Dustin married that first girl he married. I don't think Dusty approved of her much, but he was more interesting as Goldust, and he hated the angle.
Did he really?
He hated the character when he got it. And then I think somebody told him, oh, listen, why don't you take it and run with it? To make it as damn, over the top as you can. And he says, and then now he was challenged because they didn't want Dustin anymore. So he either did Goldust or he went home, I guess. And you saw what they did with Goldust. People responded to that. It's not because he did it so well. And Mr. Goldust would have been an excellent champion.
I'm glad you said that, because I actually think you're right there. I think they could have done a lot with that. I don't think it would have been... I agree with you most of the time. For people didn't see the face that Dutch just made at me like that.
You agreed with me?
I do agree with you. I think he would have driven off advertisers, but I think he would have been a really interesting champion.
He would have been, because he took that character and he made it. He took ownership of it, and he got it over. Because a lot of guys, they didn't want any kind of a gimmick outside of what they felt comfortable with. And even though Dustin didn't feel comfortable with it at first, then he went out there, then he saw how the people responded. Then he says, hey, I can really do something with this. And he took it and he ran with it. And I was a big fan of Goldust. I have a picture of him and I'll send it to you so we might play it on the show next week.
Yeah, please.
I'm sitting there and Goldust, his head is right here looking at me, and he's all painted up. So this is when we're in the back messing around. I'll see if I can find that picture and send it to you.
Did you ever hear the story? In fact, I've got two more things about Goldust I want to ask you. One, did you ever hear the story that he was possibly going to get booby implants as Goldust?
I think I heard that, but I don't think he went that far with it.
It may have been it may have been a Russo idea.
Well,
I know you're shocked.
No, I'm not shocked, really, because the wrestling business doesn't shock me at all. Because if Vince had insisted on it, guess what? He'd have been running around with some boobies. Is what he'd have been running. And then as soon as he quit wrestling for WWE, he probably had them removed. But you have a bad scar right here. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if people want that. But where did you hear this, that they had considered boobies for Goldust?
No, a big heaving set of bosoms on Goldust. I may have actually it may have been Dustin or it may have been Russo who said that, and it was not far from actually being put into practice.
I don't know if Dustin would go as far as to mangle his own body to get that gimmick over, but it sounds like something a wrestler like Russo, somebody like Russo would come up with.
Yeah. One more thing. Do you know of anybody who refused to work with Goldust because of the type of character that he played?
No. Wrestlers don't do that. I mean,
apparently Scott Hall did. Apparently Scott Hall wasn't comfortable with it.
He didn't want to work with Goldust.
Yeah.
He may not have. If he had made a big stink about it, I would have heard something about it. But Dustin would go to him and say, brother, it's a gimmick. What is wrong with you? Are you a mark? Are we trying to make this is a business? It's called pro. It means you get paid. This is pro wrestling. So he never worked with Scott Hall.
He did briefly, and I think Razor, as Razor Ramon, he taught himself out of it.
No, I can't believe Razor Ramon doing that. Razor Ramon, he was weird too in his own particular way. I mean, not weird in a bad way, but I don't think he would have considered working with Goldust beneath him at all.